Welcome to Caring Community with your hosts Jay and Diane West. In this community, creative initiatives are welcome. A culture of transformation is normal, and miracles are expected. Welcome to Caring Community.
Hello, I'm Jay.
And I'm Diane.
And this is Caring
Caring Community.
Wow. Our wonderful friend, Pastor Jeremiah McGhee, visiting with us, just like old time, sitting at your house, sitting at our house.
It is. Yeah,
We've been friends a long time.
long time.
I don't even remember how we met.
You know, I don't either. I was trying to think back. I know that there was always events going on in the city that I was involved in. I did a lot of community service work and was pastor in a church there in North Omaha. And I think through that involvement, we met. And now that I'm thinking more about it, it was through a pastor's prayer.
Probably
That's
was.
where we were.
Probably was, yeah, one of those prayer
Yeah.
things. So,
Yeah.
And
over
I know
at Liberty
yeah, Liberty,
Christian.
and their site doesn't exist anymore.
Nope.
Even the name Liberty Christian, now it's a Liberty Church, but different name,
okay.
a little bit different name. So one of the things I remember is you called me on the phone one time and said we had some issues at your house.
Oh,
Remember
yeah,
that?
yeah,
And you said you and your wife wanted me to come over and visit with you.
yeah,
Do you remember that day?
yeah.
And as I recall, you had a number of issues, problems in your home. Is it okay to talk about this?
Yeah, you can. I'd like to share a little bit about it because Merlin and I had some feelings about that.
Good feelings, I hope.
No, they were feelings of shame
Oh.
because of the condition of the home.
Oh, yeah, at the beginning, yeah.
Right.
But at the end,
right. It was really nice at
yeah,
the end.
yeah. And I remember
And
you,
during.
and I was very honored that you would even trust me because I wasn't the person that I would have thought you would have called. I would have thought you would have called maybe the pastor at Liberty or Eagle's Nest or somebody, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
That would have made more sense to me in my mind.
Yeah. But I called you because you were the networker.
Mm-hmm.
And you did that better than any of us. I mean, it seems like just by virtue of just naturally, you were able to kind of bring people together. We seemed to kind of gravitate toward you and then meet up.
And prior to coming over, I'd preached at your church a couple of times, and so we had forged a relationship.
Yeah,
And it was when you were at Mount Sinai
yeah.
Baptist Church, was it Baptist or
Well,
just Mount Sinai?
it's Mount Sinai Church.
Okay.
It started out Baptist and
Okay.
then we changed it to
I couldn't remember. So.
church. Yeah.
I mean, it's so many different denominations, they all blur together.
I know,
so.
name changes.
Name
you know,
changes,
a lot of
Yeah.
pastor changes, it's everything. So I remember I came over and you were sharing some of the things that were needed, like fixing in your house,
Yeah,
or repairs, and I remember thinking to myself, how can I possibly help you? Because first of all, I'm good at landscape as a
Yeah.
hobby, but anything else, plumbing, electrical, drywall, any of those things, I will blow up your house, I'll flood it, and then it'll explode again, okay?
Yeah.
And everybody will be gone. And I thought to myself, and if you can jump anywhere, I thought to myself as I left your house, I thought, well, maybe I can get about $3,000 to $5,000 worth of donations and get some stuff going.
yeah.
Do you want to share anything before we get into this?
Yeah, that was during a time that I was very busy with community work. I was pastor in Mount Sinai Church. I was also, the CEO and director of New Creations,
Right.
which is
And-
a transition house.
And we had Brenda Banks on recently because she had worked with you on some of that.
Yep.
She was one of our more recent shows. so.
Yeah, and I with her and
Right.
Angels on Wheels.
Angels on Wheels, yeah,
It's
we
probably
talked about
still
that.
Angels on Wheels, right?
Yeah, they don't really use the buses too much, but
Oh,
yeah. But,
yeah.
But they have them. She still has them. So.
Yeah, and in doing so, I was earning a salary, but usually for pastors, particularly black pastors way, way back then, the donations, the ability to compensate a pastor was really low. So I didn't
Right.
have a lot of money. I had to eat and pay bills with everything
And
I
you had
got.
your kids.
And my kids.
And at that time, I think you had some grandkids too.
And we were starting to get grandkids. Because Merlin and I, when we got married, she had 3 kids. I had 3 kids, then we had 4 more together. So we always had a house full of kids then,
Oh, wow.
too.
See, I guess I never knew there was that many. That's 3,
Yeah.
3, 6, 4. That's 10 kids.
That's
right there.
10 kids, yeah.
Wow.
I never
And then
knew-
at the same time.
Never knew that about you.
Yeah,
All this time you've had 10, we only had 1.
we had 10. And, you know, and that's a compliment for us because we raised them in such a way that when you were around, you didn't really notice,
Yeah.
Right.
you know.
Right.
They well-behaved kids, you know. I'm happy to say if things didn't get any worse, I'm a happy camper right now. But Merlin and I stayed quite busy, and along with our kids and grandkids getting started then too, we also worked in the community.
Right.
So there were always times where we were taking in people.
Right.
Somebody's being evicted or somebody's just kind of lost their way.
Oh,
And we were taking them in, you know, and helping them. So, but with that, we received donations. God has a way of just, you know, providing for the vision. And our vision is to make sure or to see that, you know, if we had anything to do with it, nobody would live in a roach-infested, rat-infested property.
Right.
That we would help them with better housing and help them find jobs and those kind of things. So we kind of stood by that. And people, you know, by and by along the way wanted to help. You were one that was, you know, seeing that work. You know, you were willing to always do what you could do to help.
All right. So as I recall, we sat there in that living room and I don't remember everything and I don't need to, but
Right.
there were certain things that, one thing that stuck out to me, and I don't mean to embarrass you, but I remember the ceiling fan had 1 paddle. As I recall,
Was
just-
it one paddle on that one?
Yeah.
It
just- and
didn't
that thought-
look good. Yeah.
And it's pretty hard to get airflow with 1 paddle,
Right.
you know.
And the funny thing about that is that I'm very mechanically inclined. I mean, I put that first ceiling fan up, but then as it started to deteriorate, I just never really took the time. I didn't have
But
the
you've
money
got
to
10
fix it.
kids, you've got people
You're
coming,
busy.
you're pastoring a church,
Right.
you're overseeing another housing development for low-income families.
Right. Better housing than what ours was looking like
In
at
some
the time.
ways, yeah, at the time.
Yeah.
And I remember
Yeah.
where that was located. And so all this in North Omaha going on, and you were doing,
Right.
plus you're involved in the city,
Yeah.
the city pastors, you know, and serving
Yeah.
and blessing and helping others too, you know.
Yeah.
And so I was very honored that you came, and it morphed into something huge.
Yeah.
It really did.
And see, when it started, and it's God worked this out because you and Brother Rife Construction, I connected with you two about
Right.
the same time.
Right.
Rife came over one morning and said, you know, God had put on his heart that, you know, Jeremiah. So he says, you know, he tried to find the scripture and asking the Lord, where in Jeremiah? Well, it turns out God wanted him to come to me.
Right.
So he came to me and asked if I needed anything, and we started talking about our house. Then we didn't have a bathroom downstairs. Our
Right.
stairs was falling apart.
Right.
And Rife made an offer, or you know, he offered to help us get those things fixed up. And so Rife, without knowing, you know, when I called you, not knowing, Rife had begun to do construction downstairs and to do work around there.
Right,
Well,
but-
he was doing the big stuff. And then when I started to talk to you, you know, we needed more ceilings fans. We had that raggedy ceiling fan. We had holes in our carpet.
Right. You had holes in your
We were
carpet.
hiding the holes in the carpet with throw rugs.
Right.
Yeah.
And we were really embarrassed about it. I mean, you know, we invited you, you know, you were able to come. We welcomed you in. But we were so embarrassed about our house that we didn't really invite a lot of people over. We went a lot of places.
Right.
But we didn't invite people to our home because we were ashamed, you know. Now, we always said, well, we're going to fix it. You know, I'll get to it, I'll stop, and we'll
Right.
save some money.
Right.
But that never happened.
Right.
And so then when I talked to you about it, you said, you know, you offered to help, and then, like you said, you started thinking about how you could help.
The churches that I remember that got involved was the Vineyard. I think it was the Vineyard.
The Vineyard.
I think they actually were the ones that
They
provided
bought
all
ceiling fans.
all the ceiling fans.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And West Side
Yeah.
got involved, and then Bellevue Christian got involved, and Eagles
Yeah.
Nest got
Eagles
involved.
Nest. They bought the carpet. Bellevue Christian bought, what did they do?
Well, I think they bought paint.
Painting. Yeah.
I think they bought painting.
Yeah.
You know, and that what's the name of Diane Rody's relatives.
Shabandi.
Shabandi Nursery, when we did the outside, they donated plants
Right.
for the outside.
Roses are still growing.
Okay.
Right.
Nice bloom,
Haven't
pink
been there
roses,
for a while.
still growing. Yeah.
Did you get a roof too? I don't remember if you got
We
a
can
roof.
get a roof. We got everything but a roof.
You got new windows.
Got all new windows.
You got a new kitchen. Your kitchen was
new
gutted.
kitchen remodeled. They gutted the house and
Yep.
revamped it.
Claxton came in, gave you a fireplace.
Fireplace.
And then
Yeah.
pumped some of that heat downstairs.
That's right.
So Claxton Fireplace gave you a brand new fireplace for
Custom
free.
built fireplace.
Yeah.
He even came out himself and helped
Yeah.
do some of that.
Yeah.
Wow.
And we're friends with Dan Claxton
And-
to this day. He's still a good
Yeah,
friend. So.
yeah.
And he
I
has-
often
he has-
wondered where he is. I think about the people that helped us back then.
Well, I know he attends the
And-
Tribe Church.
Yeah.
That's where he and his family go to church,
Yeah.
and he still has his fireplace business. And I think they moved to Valley now. But,
Okay.
But yeah,
And then the painters, the outside painters,
Right.
came from all the churches.
all the churches, I think.
Yeah.
That girl that we knew, and I don't remember her name, at West Side, because she helped then do some of the painting stuff at your church.
That's
too, remember?
right.
That's
She passed
right.
away,
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Her husband, was it her or her husband?
May have been her
It
husband.
may have been her
May
husband.
have been her husband.
Yeah, might have been her
Yeah.
husband.
Because
But
they moved to
they're not in
Colorado.
Omaha anymore.
No, they moved to Colorado or
Right,
someplace.
right.
So. But the point is, all these people from all over the city, churches, peoples, and that was, we didn't have Facebook then. We didn't have social media.
No, we didn't.
Okay.
No.
We had
Cell
email.
phones were just
Cell,
starting to
and we had email.
creep in.
We had email, and
Yeah.
we would send out notes. I would send out notes, and people would send out more notes, or they'd call each other. I'd get calls.
Yeah.
I'd literally get calls. They'd say, "Hey, I hear you're working at a house in North Omaha, a pastor's house. What can we do? How can we help?"
Yeah.
And I would have a list of things that were done, or going to be done, and a list of things that weren't done yet.
Yeah.
Like it seemed like you got new front doors too.
Everything new.
Solid core
Front
doors.
doors, back doors,
Yeah.
all new windows, all new bathroom equipment,
Right.
toilets, vanities, interior paint.
And that was when that TV show was on, Extreme Makeover.
Oh, was it?
Yes, and I remember saying it was like an Extreme Makeover without Sears, okay, or ABC.
Right. Yeah.
It was like, because I estimated, I could be wrong. I estimated it was around between $50,000 and $80,000 for this.
I was going to say 80.
Okay.
I estimated about $70,000 to $80,000 worth of work. We never could have afforded that, by the way.
No.
And
We couldn't either. You and I presently we couldn't
Right.
afford that.
Right. And my effort was community-wide. So I was kind of labeled as the community pastor. And I did a lot of work helping others do things. And sometimes to the neglect of home. And I put a lot of energy out, we always gave, and even when we didn't have enough, we gave. And God turned that.
Yeah.
All right. It's the laws of sowing and reaping. You
Right.
gave, and then you
Right.
reap back in the area that you needed.
Right.
Yep.
You
And
gave
above and
gave
beyond.
to so many other people that needed
Yep.
help with their homes,
Yep.
and God returned that. And a lot of these people that helped you, they didn't know you had sown all that.
Right.
They didn't know anything about you.
Yeah, that's true.
They just heard that something was going on in the city,
Yep.
and it was something that they really wanted to do. And I remember during those days, from 2000 to 2010, I don't remember when yours was, but there was a lot of those kinds of things happening in our city.
Yeah. Yeah,
We don't see as much anymore.
Yeah, remember the one where we'd go, all the churches would get together and we'd go out and paint interior,
Right.
exterior for
Yeah.
people. I can't remember what that was.
What was
Step out or
Step
something.
out.
Yeah.
Step out is what it was, yeah.
Yeah.
So, it was just fascinating that the church
And
turned
we
out
kinda,
to do that.
I have Transformation Omaha now.
Yeah.
And so we have similar things where we're doing in the parks, working with the police department, working with the community centers,
Yeah.
working with the churches. We're only 2 years old, so we actually have a meeting tomorrow.
Yeah.
But that's Transformation Omaha is linking political leaders, ministry leaders, and business leaders together
Yeah.
to see physical and spiritual transformation come to Omaha. So
Amen.
that's part of the goal.
Yeah.
And so, and this includes the suburbs and includes wherever,
Yeah.
So we have good people on board, and it's a good thing. Didn't come here to talk about that, but
Yeah.
it relates. So I want to segue a little bit because you just went through an experience. And let me back up. Do you have anything else you want to add on the house?
No, just that, you know, people turned down from everywhere. I mean, I couldn't keep count on how many, but today we're still pretty proud of our home. You know, the fireplace is still standing. I'm still getting heat from it down in the basement.
Because you got
Kids
I
love it.
recall you got a whole new master suite downstairs and a master bath.
Yeah.
That wasn't there at all.
Wasn't there at all.
Wasn't there at
No.
all. It's just a cold basement.
Right.
Right. And you got a closet.
And
you know.
Marilyn and I because the family was so big, we were forced to kind of move our bedroom down.
Right. You were
know, into the
downstairs
best.
just because
Yeah.
there wasn't any room
Yeah.
upstairs.
Yeah.
And 10 kids and
Unfinished.
visitors and guests
Yeah.
and all this and
Yeah.
ongoing. Yeah.
So yeah, I appreciate that. I'm still very grateful
So-
for that.
It was our honor. Glad we could do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'll always be a great memory. I wrote about one of my books, but I don't remember which book.
Oh,
So, but
yeah.
there is a story about that. So.
Yeah, seeing the church
People
be the
helping
church.
people.
People helping people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you went through an experience recently where you and your family caught the coronavirus, COVID-19.
Yes, we did.
Do you know how you caught it?
No idea. You know how it is. You start investigating and you try to, because at the time, and now I actually became aware of it like April 27th. But prior to that, we were taking all the precautions. You know, I work every day
Right.
in IT for CHI Health System.
Right.
And so we wore gloves where we needed to. We hand sanitized. I mean, I'm carrying hand sanitizer now, and
we
a
do too.
mask.
We carried in the
You
car.
know, and
Like I said,
masks.
I have 2 masks in the car right now, and hand sanitizer.
But
Every time
when
I go into the store, I come out, I do my hands.
Yep, same thing.
Yep.
You know, when I didn't have hand sanitizer in the car, and I've got Lysol spray, so I covered my hands with Lysol and kind of rub them together. Same deal.
Yeah.
You know, make it work. But and then I had a little bit of a fear of catching it because, you know, I wasn't panicky and outrageous with it, but it was like it's all around me, and I have to be careful what I touch,
Right.
where I go, because if
Right.
I catch it, I'm 67 years old. It's probably
Yeah.
going to kill me, you know. And you hear about all these people dying,
Right.
Right.
hearing about the
Right.
black populations,
Right.
Yeah.
numbers are increasing.
Right.
And I got a phone call on the 27th, and Marilyn said, well, they took our granddaughter to the hospital. She's got headaches, her body's aching, she's sneezing, she got high fever. I just knew that. I knew it was coronavirus.
Oh.
So at that point, I left work. You know, I said, well, you know, they're going to give her a test, and I was pretty sure it was corona. Then the following day, on the 28th, they gave the results that she was positive for coronavirus.
Was she living with you at the time?
She just stayed the weekend with us,
Okay.
and she got caught in it. So I didn't know where it came from, you know. And I'm the most likely candidate because I'm out and about more than anybody.
Right.
And I'm in places, you know, where there's high risk of picking it up, you know. And so when we learned about it, I went 2 days later, got a coronavirus test, and sure enough, I was positive. Now, on the 28th, I started running a fever.
Is this of May?
April 28th.
April, okay.
April 28th, I started running a fever. Or 27th, when I came home from work and checked my temperature, I had a fever. 100.1 or something like that, but anything over 100 you should be concerned about. So we had already been taking elderberry, vitamin C. I mean, Marilyn knows all this stuff, and you know, she fixes it up, and I'll drink it, I'll take it, because I trust her completely. And so we were already taking those precautions there to kind of build up and fortify our systems.
Yeah.
But then we started using a lot of, you know, medication that reduces fever, helps with cough. And so around the 3rd day, I started feeling really bad. Marilyn hadn't been, she was showing no symptoms yet. She wasn't feeling bad at all. But 2 of my daughters, plus my granddaughter who brought it to our awareness, they were all feeling bad and running fevers. We developed coughs. When you start coughing, I mean, it's like you couldn't stop. Nothing we seemed to do would help, you know, get rid of that cough. I never did have serious respiratory issues, but I did have some shortness of breath. You know, I didn't do a lot during that time because I had to take leave from work. I wasn't required to do much, so I didn't exert a lot of energy, and it didn't take much for me. It brought on diarrhea, just weird, you know, case of diarrhea. Never had any headaches. So the worst for me was fever, just feeling really, you know, sick and coughing. My sinuses also burned like crazy. I lost my sense of taste. My
That's
sense
a lot of people.
smell.
A lot of people say
I
they
heard
lose their
that.
sense
Yeah.
of taste.
Yeah, it goes, and
People,
there's
it's
like an
similar to people that
irritation.
have had chemo and stuff. They lose their sense of taste.
Lose sense of taste, yeah, and that's real weird to have that happen. And it took me, you know, I mean, after 2 weeks, you know, they say you know, you stay self-quarantine or quarantine somewhere for 14 days, and then no symptoms. 3 days from that, you should be okay. Well, that didn't work for me because I went and got another test, and I tested positive again.
Wow.
So I had to quarantine another
little
7
longer.
days.
Wow.
So I like had 2 bouts with it. I mean, I had 3 rounds of fever. I'd have fever, it would go away for 2 days. Fever would come back again. And I'd feel bad. I knew I had a fever because I know what I know
You
what a
just
fever
know.
feels like. I just felt
Sure.
yucky.
Yeah.
And so we finally got that beat, and symptoms went away.
Were you in consultation with your doctor at that time?
That's what I was
at all?
going to ask.
No, we were self-medicating. You know, the doctors, we never called them because we knew what to do. We just knew what to do, you know, and as long as I finally called my doctor the last week because I couldn't get rid of the cough.
Yeah.
And he gave me some stuff that suppressed the cough, and it went away. But all that while, we were, you know, we were using, you know, medications for fever reducing, for, you know, those kind of illnesses, for flu, and taking vitamin C and elderberry and drinking elderberry tea syrup and all those kind of things, those homemade
Chicken soup?
remedies. Yeah, soup. The only thing I could really didn't really have a taste, but I could really bear was soup because it was so salty and,
Right.
you know, brought a little relief. I lost about 15 pounds.
Wow.
I didn't want to eat, you know.
Yeah.
I ate very little then.
It's
Coming out of
It's kind of
that,
crude. We have an old friend down in Houston. He always used to say, "Want to lose weight? Get a virus."
get a virus.
You know?
Yeah, you'll lose it.
Yeah, lose it. Yeah.
And coming out of the virus, I don't eat as much anymore. You know, I just don't. I'll eat half the food that I normally eat.
But your stomach shrank, and that's pretty
Stomach
normal.
went down a lot, yeah.
So that's pretty
Yeah.
normal not to want to eat as much.
Yeah, I had Dunlap, you know,
But
prior to
as
that.
long as I've known, you've never been really overweight anyway. So
Yeah.
Just my stomach.
yeah, but
And
it's-
you ever heard of Dunlap? Dunlap is his stomach Dunlapped over his belt.
always nice to get a giggling.
Yeah.
So,
Hearing a
but that's
joke, hearing a
kinda
joke
went
from
down.
you is rare. So,
So yeah, we came
I
out
thought
of
Dunlap
it.
was a tire. So
No,
So
yeah, it
did-
is a tire.
yeah,
Did Marilyn
spare
have?
tire around
And
your
then
waist.
Marilyn caught it.
Got it.
Yeah, she got,
So she
well,
had the
you know, if your
symptoms
husband or wife, if
Yeah.
your spouse gets, chances are you're going to get it.
Yeah.
You know? And yeah, she caught it. And she had one terrible day where she felt like she was going to die. And this was like toward the last week. She had a Thursday where, you know, I was getting ready to go to work, and she's like, well, no, I was still off. And she was telling me, I don't feel right. You know, I feel like the life is going out of me. I can't move my arms. I feel heavy. I can't get up. You know, and I could see she was scared, and she wanted to go to emergency, but she wanted me to call an ambulance. You know, I'm like, well, I think I can get you up, get you there. You think I can, you know, you can trust me to take you to the hospital? And she's like, I don't know. And she was really weak and feeling bad. So I finally got her up and got her to sit in a chair. So after she sat in a chair, we got her some water, you know, and we prayed and just kind of talked to her and kind of soothed her nerves and, you know, checked her blood pressure every 20, 30 minutes because her blood pressure spiked like crazy, you know. We were really concerned about that too.
Does she have a problem with blood pressure?
Yes.
Yeah.
She suffers from hypertension, but she takes medication for it that
Yeah.
normally keeps it under control. But this time it was way out of control.
Did you?
So
are times when did you get her to the hospital or did you stay home? What was that?
We stayed home, and it disappeared. It went away.
That's great.
You know, about 4 o'clock, she started feeling better.
So we have about 2 minutes left. What I'd like you to do, if you wouldn't mind, I'd like you to pray for those that are watching, especially those who are fearful of any disease, but especially this.
Especially chronic.
Would you mind doing that?
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
and you can include healing for anybody that might be sick now too,
Yeah.
for anything.
Okay.
And then we'll wrap up the show. So.
And I'll say that, you know, I know how a lot of you feel, particularly those that are, you know, that are on in age. You know, I'm 67, and the idea is anybody that's over 55 or so, you know, is a good candidate to catch it, and more than likely it would bring death. I had a little bit of that fear in the beginning because I was trying to make sure that I didn't catch it. My biggest worry was somebody else catching it from me. So I know how you feel, and I can say to you today that all you can do is what you can do. You pray, ask God to help you, trust God, because you got to go to work. You know, you gotta go about your business and do the things you got to do, and you ask Him to help you, and then you take all those precautions. Wear a mask. You know, don't go anywhere without a mask. Don't trust anybody. You know, a lot of times we don't want to put our mask on because it makes everybody feel awkward. Put the mask on. I had one area where I didn't do that, and that was not the wrong thing to do. So I'm going to pray for you that God would remove the fear, that God would show you that He is able, more than able, and that not only can He provide for you, but He will provide for you, and that He'll see you through this. Worst case, you catch it, but the symptoms are not always serious. They're sometimes mild, like they were with me, but God can raise you up.
We have 1 minute.
You know? So I pray, God, in the name of Jesus, that you would touch the hearts, and that you would touch the minds of those that are really, really concerned and worried about catching this disease. Father, you are more powerful than anything. You are all powerful. You're everywhere at the same time, and you know everything. You know us. You know what we need, and you know what we need to know in order to be more careful and to be safe. So I pray that you give them wisdom, that you give them courage to face each day, God, that you give them the faith to know that no matter what happens, you will see them through. Not only can you prevent it from happening, but if it happens, Lord, you'll see them through. And I pray for them that you will give them this confidence, that you will help them to see and to know that you are the healer. And I pray for those, God, with other diseases and illnesses, that you would raise them up, that you would cause them, God, to be relieved of their pain, to relieve of all their discomfort, and that you'll raise them up, God. Help them see brighter days. Make them stronger. Build their faith in you. In Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you, Pastor Jeremiah McGhee. Thank you all for tuning in. We'll see you next time on Caring Community. Goodbye, and God bless you.